pleasure to be joining you right here on the India Development Debate tonight on ET Now. I'm Supriya, Shrinate, and with me is Sandeep, Gurumurthy. Let's take it straight across to the big debate on the show then. The power struggle in Karnataka is heading for the climax in a big blow to the BJP. The Supreme Court today ordered Chief Minister B.S. Yeddyurappa to prove his majority support by a floor test at 4 p.m. tomorrow, cutting short the 15-day window provided by Governor Vajubhai Vala. The top court has also cancelled Vala's appointment of an Anglo-Indian nominee, even as it refused Yeddyurappa from taking any policy decision before he wins the trust vote. The governor has now appointed BJP legislator P.G. Boyapaya as the pro-term speaker, but an already charged up Congress says it will challenge his appointment considering his political antecedents of 2011 in the past.
All this is happening at a time when claims and counterclaims are flying thick and fast. Congress released an audio tape wherein BJP legislator Janardhan Reddy is heard luring a Congress MLA with money and position to switch sides. Not just that, the Congress also accused the BJP of abducting its MLA Anand Singh, who has gone underground since yesterday. The BJP has refuted all the allegations, saying there is a sign of desperation in the opposition camp. All these are pointers to the level to which Indian democracy has stooped as unprincipled political parties use money, muscle power and legal loopholes to form a government. The new law in Indian democracy, that's a topic of discussion on the first edition of the India Development Debate. We've got a power-packed show. The second debate is, of course, on the state of the economy with crude at $80 a barrel. What's going to happen to the state of the economy is what we'll discuss at 9:30. But first up, a panel tonight to discuss the politics as far as the trust vote is concerned. Joining us on the show today, Amarjeet Singh Chandiok, former Additional Solicitor General. We've got Professor Chandan Gowda from the Azim Premji University, Hitesh Jain representing the BJP, and Pawan Khera representing the Congress Party. Gentlemen, we've got 30 minutes and a lot of ground to cover, so I'd urge you to keep your remarks brief. No interjections, please. Please don't interrupt while the other speaker is speaking. I'm going to start off with you, Mr. Chandiok. What do you think did the court intend to do with this judgment by deciding, by advancing the vote of confidence to tomorrow? It has shrunk the window for any sort of deal making. What's the message for the political class here from the top court?
The first question the Supreme Court had to look at is that what in the circumstances it could have done. And I think we should be proud of our Supreme Court that who sat in the middle of the night, a three-judge bench, to look at all this, to see what democratic norms can be upheld. Having seen that the learned governor had exercised their discretion, whether rightly or wrongly, the Supreme Court did not want to substitute its own discretion with respect to the same. So it decided that the legislatures are entitled to vote now that the governor had invited the BJP to form the government. I think the Supreme Court in the circumstances today had passed the order that till tomorrow 4 o'clock at the floor of the House you must do. I think the minimum time that the Supreme Court could look at it to stop that the democratic process cannot be thwarted by governors. They must adopt a uniform rules. It can't be that one governor calls a largest party, the second governor calls, despite numbers being shown by other people, still the largest party. There has to be some norms that all honorable governors must follow in this country. And I think time has come when the Supreme Court must lay down these laws. It has done so in Bihar's case earlier. I think time has come when the Supreme Court must lay down its principles, which should be binding, at least some binding force to the governors, what discretion they have to exercise. Because unfettered discretion, whether executive or parliament or with the court or anybody else, will lead to anarchy in this country. The democratic norms have to be kept up, and that I think has weighed heavily with the Supreme Court while passing today's order.
Right. Okay, the Supreme Court has in some sense passed a precedent which perhaps should be binding on judges, on governors. But I want to first take it across to the Congress before I go across to the BJP and also to Mr. Gowda here and Professor Gowda here. Mr. Khera, welcome to India Development Debate. It's good to have you back. Why is the Congress calling this a victory? You did not go to the Supreme Court seeking advancement of floor test date. You were demanding overturning of Yeddy's appointment as Chief Minister. So this isn't victory as sections of your party are hailing.
As far as the governor's unconstitutional decision is concerned, that matter is still open before the Honorable Supreme Court. They haven't put a permanent lid on it. It will be taken up subsequently. Major victories. Mukul Rohtgi, who was earlier, we were told, representing 2 or 3 BJP MLAs, had to give in writing an undertaking that Mr. Yeddyurappa will not take any executive decisions until the time the floor test is done. Number 2, Mukul Rohatgi kept pleading, if not 15 days, at least 7 days, if not 7 days, at least 2 days. He also said that BJP MLAs are somewhere in Kochi, Congress MLAs are in Hyderabad. He was more worried about Congress MLAs for obvious reasons. Number 3, they wanted secret ballot. The Supreme Court rejected that too. Favoring transparency, the Supreme Court ordered under videography. Supreme Court also ordered security for every MLA there. The Anglo-Indian MLA, for example, Supreme Court stopped Yeddyurappa from nominating an Anglo-Indian MLA. So, why we are calling it a victory is that people now know that what we were saying was right. They could not give the numbers. The letter submitted by Mr. Mukul Rohatgi in the Supreme Court does not have the requisite numbers. So, why on earth did the governor, I'm sorry, he's reduced Raj Bhavan into a Raj Shakha. He's behaving like an RSS agent. Why on earth, when you know there are numbers there on the other side, here you have 104 plus governor, there you have 117. So 117 as compared to 117 on the one hand, there is 104 plus governor.
Okay.
It's as clear as that.
Okay, Hitesh, I'll come in on that.
So we have
you have the numbers.
Partial victory.
Okay, you're claiming partial victory and you have the numbers. You're saying for the trust vote tomorrow, everyone, the BJP in Karnataka sort of is confidently sort of giving comments and tweeting saying, bring it on. That's the tweet from the Karnataka BJP handle. But Hitesh Jain, how embarrassing is this for the party? Yeddyurappa could end up being a chief minister for just 2 days. And what is giving the BJP so confident of winning the trust vote tomorrow?
Well, I was listening to my learned friend Mr. Khera, and well, if they are happy, let them be, because you know, in Gujarat elections also, when they lost the election, they claim moral victory. So nowadays, what is happening is little concessions they get, and they are happy. So I'm glad, let them be happy. Now, coming to the question, we were all along very confident for the floor test, and it was Congress who was running away from the floor test. On the day 1, they did not wanted the governor to swear in Mr. Yeddyurappa. Thereafter, they wanted to turn around the decision of governor so that they are not required to face the floor test. I have been maintaining, I have been coming on your channel also for last 2 days. As far as BJP is concerned, we are very confident of facing the floor test, and you can see at the end, and we also said it is not the Raj Bhavan or the Supreme Court who is going to decide the majority. Whether we have the numbers or not will be decided on the floor of the House, and tomorrow when we will face the trust vote, we will come out with the flying colors. We are very confident about our position, and we maintain that from the day 1 when we submitted our claim, and the whole country is going to see how we are going to come out with the flying colors tomorrow on the floor of the House.
Okay, I'll go across to Chandan Gaura. And Chandan Gaura, you are in Bengaluru. I'm sure you're closer to the situation as it's developing. The BJP is extremely confident that they will win this one tomorrow. What is the evidence of the ground? I mean, is there at all evidence? Is there all an iota of suspicion that there could be horse trading, that money could be exchanging hands? I mean, what could really happen tomorrow?
It's difficult to predict one way or another. There is simply no evidence to feel sure that the BJP will have the required number of abstentions or the required number of cross voters, or that the Congress and the JDS will be hold on to their MLAs. The Congress early this evening has released an audio clip of Janardhan Reddy. It's supposed to be Janardhan Reddy offering a bribe, to a Congress MLA. They were confident it was an original text. That's the only shred of evidence that's come out until now. But if you just look at the maneuvering that happened, when the Congress MLAs are grouped in a resort, the chief minister, the new Yeddyurappa takes away the security cover. When they decide to leave by an aircraft, the license, they're not given permission to fly out. It's all very disturbing, actually. If you think about it, the whole thing has become reduced to a very crass number game, and the spirit of democracy that out to be, behind the decisions of political, a party that wants to show majority tomorrow is not at all evident. And if you look at the media discussions, they are quite comfortable discussing the various means available to show one's majority, etc., etc. No sense of how someone's ethics has to be behind these things. The fact that a party stands for certain values and some other party stands for other values doesn't seem to matter at all. And if you just look at the way in which the speaker has been chosen, a speaker who had been chastised by the Supreme Court, the BJP could have chosen any other person from within the party. They had senior members. They were overlooked and they've settled for someone with a tainted record. All of this, gives you a sense that it's very, very ugly and distasteful, and definitely something to be very, very clearly, critical of.
Okay, I take that
we
point.
Need a culture of discussion where somehow democratic means becomes important. It's just not technicalities.
Okay, I take that point, Professor Chandan Gowda, but because it is made out to be a numbers game, and we've got this trust vote tomorrow. Pawan Khera, it's now up to you to hold your flock together. I mean, at the end of this, having got this, what you're calling a significant reprieve from the Supreme Court, will you concede that it's going to be hugely embarrassing if you lose a trust vote in the House of in the Assembly? The fact that if your MLAs could get swayed away and switch sides, or if they don't vote, or if they cross vote, I mean, that is going to be massively embarrassing. How confident are you that you will? Because if you were, you would have had to transport them all the way to Hyderabad, bring them back now to Bengaluru. I mean, people are wondering, if you can't trust your MLAs, how do you expect the public of Karnataka, people who voted them, to trust them?
By the way, even the BJP transported 94 of their MLAs to Kochi. You should ask the same question to my friend in the BJP, Mr. Jain. Having said that, we are very confident of a clear victory tomorrow. When you're fighting a mammoth and hugely corrupt machinery, each one of them trying to corner you, whether they are the agencies, whether there's the governor, where you name it, and they're all supporting this. Operation Kamal, as they call it. Nothing is embarrassing. In fact, it's embarrassing for these people if they poach. If it's embarrassing for the Raj Bhavan, who aided and abetted horse trading actively. So, why should it be embarrassing for the person wronged? It should be embarrassing for the person who's done the wrong. No, I don't find all this embarrassing at all. Having said that, very, very confident that we will sail through smoothly tomorrow.
Okay, you are confident that you will sail through smoothly tomorrow, but I will ask you this question, Hitesh Jain. There are concerns here, and there are concerns that people have voiced on our channels, experts who've come, politicians who've been there, about whether there will be a final result on hand tomorrow or not, because there could be a risk of the entire process being disrupted by BJP legislators. Now, is that a genuine concern? Can you assure the country and the people who are watching us at this point in time that there will be proceedings in the House, MLAs will be sworn in, there will be a trust motion that will be put to vote, and eventually we will have results tomorrow?
Supriya, we were party to the order passed by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has passed a recent order, and tomorrow it is not something that it will be done in a hidden four corners where nobody is going to watch. The entire nation is going to watch, and I can assure you our conduct will be completely above board, as we have been there in 4 years. They are talking about corruption, they are talking about horse trading. People also say whether 78 have traded 37 or 37 have traded 78. I mean, one can also say that Congress party has done the horse trading of the entire 37 JDS MLA, or the JDS MLA have traded 78 MLAs of Congress. So, I mean, it is very easy to make all this thing. At the end of the day, the floor test is going to happen in less than 24 hours. Let's face the results of the floor test. We are here. I mean, you are aware in 96 when Mr. Vajubhai did, we faced the floor test fair and square. Fine, if we made the numbers, we made the numbers. If we do not make the numbers, we do not disrupt the House or we do anything. I mean, we are very confident about facing the floor test. As far as we are concerned, from our side as concerned, be rest assured, you are not going to see any conduct or any complaints that we have tried to scuttle the process. We were always demanding the floor test. We always said that the majority has to be decided on the floor of the House, and we are all there to decide the majority on the floor of the House.
Before I take it to Mr. Chandio, quick follow-up with you, Hitesh, and because there's another issue that people have criticized is the manner of the appointment of the pro tem speaker. Another instance of the governor not following due procedure by appointing Mr. Boppaya as a pro tem speaker for the trust board. He's a 3-time MLA, with Congress claims its 8-term MLA has been ignored. As speaker, Mr. Boppaya had ensured BJP government survival in 2011 by disqualifying rebel MLAs, which is why Yeddyurappa won. Given this history, given the fact that the Supreme Court itself has made observations against him, isn't the choice of governor, doesn't it raise questions? Why did the speaker rather raise these questions? Why did the governor have to go with such a controversial name? Why was due procedure not followed?
Sandeep, I'm glad you asked me the question so that I can clarify on the channel. Yeah, in 2008 also, when the Congress governor was there, in spite of the fact that Mr. R.V. Deshpande was the senior MLA then also, Mr. Boppaya was selected as a pro tem speaker at that time also. It was the Congress governor who had appointed him, and the same person who has got appointed now. So I don't know why people are trying to read. And as regards the strictures and other things, so then Mr. Chidambaram also had a stricture. In the coal ministry, we had the strictures. Romesh Bhandari had the stricture. Syed Sipte Rijvi had the strictures. They still continue to occupy the office of the governor. There are people who continue to occupy the positions of the ministry and all. So I don't think that's fair. I mean, while the decision of the Supreme Court did make, so many times the Supreme Court, when they are hearing the orders of the High Court, orders of the lower court, they criticize the approach of the judges. So does that mean that the High Court judges or the lower court judges, they have to resign? I don't think one should look from that perspective. The answer, the Congress should also have the answer. In 2008 also, Mr. Boppaya was appointed the pro tem speaker. They did not protest. So why protest now? Why are they crying every time? I think they are complaining a bit too much, and I think they should stop crying and face the floor test straight away tomorrow.
Okay, let me just go straight across to Pawan Khera before I go back to Mr. Chandiok and Professor Gaura. And Pawan Khera, the point that Hitesh Jain is making, that are you crying too much? I mean, it's one thing to have doubt on the governor's decision. It was one thing to call it illegal, wanting it. But if you're going to look at everything with tainted glasses, or if you're going to attach motive and suspicion to just about everything, how are we going to go on with democratic processes? How will they take off?
It's this vigilance exactly which keeps democracy alive. Given a choice, and if we were taking your advice seriously, were to keep quiet, letting everything happen. Look what happened in Goa. Look what happened in Manipur, Nagaland, Meghalaya. Look what they are doing to our institutions. Look what Supreme Court, 4 judges came out in the courts of the people. Look what they have done to the RBI. So if we keep quiet today, we'll all have lost our voice tomorrow. For a Prime Minister who started his career in Delhi by saying opposition Mukt Bharat, will ensure that this is a Supreme Court Mukt Bharat, Constitution Mukt Bharat, Media Mukt Bharat. Is that what kind of a Bharat you want? I'm sorry, you call it crying, but we'll keep shouting from rooftops. Every time we see anything wrong going, every time we see some attack on democratic institutions, we'll not keep quiet. You may call it crying, whining, whatever you want to call it. Yes, we owe it to our democracy. We owe it to our country.
It's good to see a fiery opposition. I don't think anyone is going to
Supriya,
dispute that. Hitesh, let me go to Mr. Chandiok. He's been waiting patiently. I need to ask an important question on another part of what the court observed today. And, Mr. Chandiok, the court said the decision on the legality of the governor's action has been pushed to the next hearing in 10 weeks from now. Where does this leave Governor Vajubhai Vala and his decision in the first place to give 15 days to B.S. Yeddyurappa to prove majority? I mean, should he now stay on, step down? Because the court is now going to look at the merits of the decision in another hearing that's going to happen in about 10 weeks from now.
Now the question today is, why are political parties giving instances of the past? 2 wrongs do not make 1 right. Therefore, to say 2008 something was done, why are they crying? I don't think they should see the spirit of the order of the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has allowed a democratic process to go on. It has already commented upon the attitude or the decision or the discretion exercised by the governor. I thought it's not the question this country has seen coalition governments. So where is the question of not saying it's the numerical numbers that matter? If the numerical numbers were with people other than BJP, then the governor should have given an opportunity. And after the Supreme Court has passed a detailed order, I think we all must respect that order and work in that spirit instead of bringing people who are with taint or have something, and to then give an example to say it happened in the past, why should it not happen today? I don't think we need to mature enough now. If some wrong had been done by Congress, then why should BJP repeat it today is the question. And if you can't respect the order of the court, the underlying message the Supreme Court has given to you, that you please respect the democratic norms of this country, allow it to grow and become a mature politicians of this country. I don't think we are looking for brighter days ahead unless the Supreme Court comes heavily on each one of us and will have to interfere. Then they'll say the Supreme Court is overactive about it. What has the Supreme Court to do? That's the only institution which I can proudly say has safeguarded the norms, the ethics, the Article 21, and now wanting to look at Article 14 once again to the arbitrary actions of the governors.
Professor Chandan Gowda, and I completely agree with you, Mr. Chandyok, there, as far as the Supreme Court's action on this one is concerned, the last standing institution, it seems, of our democracy. But Professor Chandan Gowda, an eminent, respected jurist like K.K. Venugopal, India's Attorney General, did ask the Supreme Court for a secret ballot in Karnataka trust vote. And yes, of course, it was rejected by the court. But, it puts suspicion, it raises doubts on the intentions. I mean, what sort of means are being deployed to win this one? Why have a secret ballot? I'm just trying to understand. Were you as perplexed when you heard that as I was?
No, I think the Supreme Court is being very cautious in trying to make sure that the process remains as non-controversial as possible. The minute you have a secret ballot, it allows room for, it's unclear, where the votes come from, and there's room for suspicion afterwards, etc. I think it's best to have a show of hands where people sit, together, and it's, there can't be much doubt about the number of votes. But I think it's a clear, it's a clear mark that the Supreme Court, wishes for the process to happen as simply and as non-controversial as possible. It's not willing to risk, the process getting subverted by any means. And that's again a very wise decision on the part of the Supreme Court, I would think, as was the decision to have it within a day, because it just simply can't be that you need 2 weeks to be able to show why people from the other side have had a change of conscience and want to move over. I mean, this is the official BJP explanation for why the floor test is necessary. So I think the Supreme Court has acted fabulously in this regard, and one has to welcome it, and this is definitely scope for optimism about procedure. And the decision about how the governors ought to act in situations like this in the times to come will also be important to watch, because that is going to leave room for less ambiguity in these situations.
Hitesh,
yes, and a small point of factual correction.
Sure, please go ahead.
Bopaya, when he was made, when he was made Speaker in 2008, he seemed a man of integrity. But the dispute, was in 2010, as a Speaker, he allowed for a no-confidence motion to pass with a show of hands, with a voice vote, and that was controversial, as he disqualified rebel MLAs without giving them a chance to participate. That was what he was hauled up for. That happened in 2011.
Sure.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. I take the clarification on board. Hitesh, and given how fluid things are, and perhaps the fact that even the Prime Minister and the party president skipped the oath taking, if Yeddyurappa were to fail the trust motion tomorrow, who will take the blame for the hasty, desperate attempt to form the government in Karnataka, for the manner in which the entire process has unfolded over the next 3 days? Is the blame going to end at Yeddyurappa's desk? Who will take responsibility for what's happened in Karnataka?
In a democracy, we do not blame one another. We are not taking a backdoor method of Congress after losing the poll. They are trying to propel Janata Dal, and all this tamasha is done in 3 days to avoid the scrutiny of the question which people would have otherwise asked the leadership, that you are failing from successive election after election. As far as we are concerned, We are a single largest party. We are well within our right to seek a mandate. That is the reason we requested the governor and we staked our claim. Like the same thing what the Congress did in other states also. At the end of the day, we are very confident to face the floor test, and whatever is there within the means of the law, we will go ahead, we will face the floor test, and we are very confident. There is no question of any blame game, and we are very confident that we are going to come out with the flying colors tomorrow on the floor test.
I'm just trying to understand for the last 4 days, where will you get the numbers from? But I think we will watch that tomorrow. Pawan Khera, a quick last word to you. And this, we said this was a desperate attempt by Yeddy, and where will the blame lie as far as the BJP is concerned? But it's an equally desperate attempt from the Congress. In the process, you've relegated yourself to a marginal position. You've offered chief ministership to someone who's got less than 17% vote share, half your numbers actually. How confident are you if you were given an opportunity, if Yeddy just loses tomorrow, you will be, of course, called in. How confident are you of smoothly completing a full term if you do indeed get to govern? Because this is an opportunistic alliance and perhaps is going to be on shaky ground.
There's no doubt that this mandate was not entirely for the Congress, for the incumbent government. It was, our chief minister also lost one of his seats. So, in our wisdom, we decided that we should not take the position of the chief minister and offer it to the partner. Nothing wrong with that. BJP will never be able to understand this. Their prime minister, the leader, Mr. Modi, doesn't even acknowledge Mr. Advani's presence anymore. So he will not understand, they will not understand what it means to be correct in life. Number two, my friend Hitesh Jain says that they'll do whatever is permitted under law. Was the DGCA stopping up planes carrying the MLAs legal? The first decision, 2 or 3 decisions taken by the chief minister yesterday, was transferring the DCP, the airport area in northeast Bangalore, transferring the SP of Ramnagara, where the resorts are. These are the pro-people decisions that this chief minister was taking. So what law are you talking about? Completely, patently unconstitutional, illegal, unethical, immoral, politically incorrect. Nothing suave or sophisticated about anything that they have done. Giving them 15 days. Was it legal? Was it good? Was it just? Was it in keeping with settled constitutional norms? No, it was not. So please don't pontificate, don't moralize, don't sermonize. We all know your truth. The country knows your truth. We'll fight for our institutions. We'll continue the fight.
In Jharkhand,
on that
raided
note,
the runway?
thank you
CBI
very
raided
much,
the
each one of
runway
you, for
and
joining us.
stopped and searched
No,
the
one
plane.
second. I think, all right, thank you very much on that note, Hitesh Jain, Pawan Khera, Mr. Chandyok, and of course Professor Gaura. Thanks very much for being with us on this edition of the India Development Debate, because at the end of the Karnataka pot boiler, whichever way the vote ends tomorrow, there is one big lament. Elected MLAs who should represent the aspirations and hopes of the electorate have been reduced to mere numbers, mere pawns in the number game in this blatant pursuit of political power.
That's it. We must end this show on a positive note. The Supreme Court has once again proven that despite the controversies that plague the institution, it's still a beacon of hope when all else crumbles. Hopefully, the legislators will take a call, and we will have a final say on which party should rule the state of Karnataka, and hopefully that will bring some political stability as well. Timed out on the first leg of the India Development Debate. Up next, of course, is the second edition of the India Development Debate on the state of the economy. With rising crude oil prices, what impact is that going to have on our macros, from the current account deficit to the fiscal deficit to inflation to the interest rate cycle? A 360-degree view on the state of the economy is coming up next on the India Development Debate. Keep it with ET Now.